a nice shot in the butt. Alright, so.
Yes.
Hi everybody! Welcome to CeriGotGame or Mini Boss Mama, depends on which channel I decide to upload this video to. I wanted to do a video because my friend here, what would you like me to call you?
Darcy's fine.
Darcy's fine. My friend Darcy was nice enough to lend me the first 3 seasons of a show that I had heard of but I had not yet watched. I was fascinated at the premise and also the fact that so many of the roles are played by the same actress. It is a little show called Orphan Black, and she also lent me the comic book, which is pretty cool. So Orphan Black, if you've never heard of it, the whole premise is basically that this group of women find out that they're clones of each other. And you know, they're in their 30s, so it's this experiment that obviously has gone back long before they reached adulthood. And it's fascinating. It's a very fun show. I mean, fun as in it's exciting to see what's going to happen next. I'm pretty picky about shows. I have a very low tolerance for predictable plots and characters making dumb decisions and stuff like that. And I feel like Orphan Black has a very good script. The characters are all, most of the characters are likable, and even if they're not likable, they're at least interesting. And the clones themselves are very distinct personalities, very different color palettes and sound design. And I watched all the making of stuff at the end of each DVD because I was so interested. And yeah, they're all played by the same woman, Tatiana Maslany. And you seriously have to remind yourself that it's all one woman.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal, and that's what everyone who watches the show says, she's phenomenal. But yeah, it's a good plot, and it's also very visually interesting. And it's also interesting from a technical standpoint because, I mean, we've been doing, you know, stuff with clones. Like, I remember, did you ever see a Social Network, the one about the beginning of Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the
with
guy
the Army
that plays...
Hammer playing both twins.
Yeah, and I remember I was amazed when I found out it was the same guy. So, you know, the technology's there, but there's just these scenes where they're all together in the same house and just interacting, and you totally forget. You're like, oh, wait, I guess it was the same. And without revealing too much, there's another character, well, there's another bunch of clones of a different person that show up, and they are more physically similar. So it's really hard on that actor to portray these different personality types. And again, you know, it's amazing to see the technological stuff. But yeah, it's a really good show. I highly recommend it. I think it's on Amazon. Yeah, I don't know how many seasons are on it. Do you know what station shows the new episodes?
It airs on BBC America.
BBC, okay.
I think the 5th and final season is starting in April.
Okay, yeah. So I haven't seen 4th yet. Have you been able to see 4th?
I did see the 4th season when it was airing. I haven't gotten the DVDs yet, so I haven't rewatched it yet.
Yeah, I finished season 3 like 3 days ago, and I was like, no, I have no more to watch. So what was your introduction? How did you find out about Orphan Black, and how long of a break between you watching it and you being like, I have to buy the DVDs?
I saw a few people like talking about it as it was first airing, and then I was leaving work one night and there was an interview on NPR. I can't remember which program it was. They were interviewing Tatiana Maslany and talking about the first season, and I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting. Yeah. So I went and downloaded the whole first season.
But you bought it afterwards, so it's okay.
I did.
You did what you're supposed to. You like did the preview, and then you liked it so much that you
it was like right before Comic-Con, and I knew they were going to be at Comic-Con, so I actually bought the first set at Comic-Con.
And was that where you got the comic too?
No, the comic came out right before the 3rd season came out.
Okay.
And if you read it, it kind of ties in
with
the 3rd season.
I read it all today.
Yeah.
Is it a standalone, or is there going to be more? Do you know?
There's another series that kind of bridges from it called Helsinki, and I don't think it's been packaged yet.
Yeah. The comic I read today, and I mean, the back especially, it has like the alternate covers, and I mean, it's got some beautiful artwork, and I love how they managed to capture the look of all the different clothes, because people, again, it's the same actress, and yet even in the comic book version they managed to have these differences. By the way, I forgot to mention at the beginning that I have been getting back into face painting, and so Darcy here allowed to submitted herself as a guinea pig because I haven't done it in years, and then I kind of did it myself, but I'm terrible at mirror image stuff.
I think it turned out really pretty well.
Oh, well, thank you. Link unfortunately is too young. I'm gonna wait till he's about a year before I try face paint with him. But yeah, so there might be more face paint stuff in the future. Hey. And if he's too annoying, I'm gonna hand him off to Matthew. And so did you go to Comic-Con?
Yeah,
Did you go to the panel?
I went to the panel after season 2, so that was the next year.
And what did they talk about in the panel? Anything interesting?
They talked about a lot of the production process. It's been like 3 years now, so I don't remember specifically what they talked about, but that was the year that somebody presented Tatiana with handmade Matryoshka dolls that it was like Sarah on the outside, and then each
Those are the ones that go inside each other?
Yeah, nesting dolls.
Wow,
yeah,
that's awesome.
And she was like, "Oh my god, that's so amazing."
Yeah, she seems like a cool person. Every interview I see.
There was somebody in the audience there who was talking about the show had helped her parents come to terms with her sexuality.
Oh yeah, well that was one of the specials, is they were kind of showing, I didn't watch the whole thing, there's this one thing called the clone, I can't remember the word, it was some cheesy pun or whatever, and it was being hosted by, Cloneversation, that was
yes.
it. Cloneversation, hosted by Will Wheaton,
Mm-hmm.
and his overacting was a little cheesy, so we couldn't finish the whole thing. But they were showing little snippets of people submitting videos saying what the show meant to them, and yeah, like a lot of people were saying it was helping them with their, come to grips with their sexuality and stuff. Because like one of the things that's interesting is that all these clones, it's a very, I've always been very fascinated by the idea of nature versus nurture. Mm-hmm. Nature being stuff that's in your DNA. Could you come get him, Matthew, please? He's like not shutting up.
I've always be part of the conversation.
Yeah, he does, but he's louder than I am. And I've always been interested in nature versus nurture. Thank you. He has a lot of commentary.
Wait, final comment? Nothing.
Link has left the building, and we've done various studies with like non-humans and stuff, or like they'll take twins in real life, that have gotten separated somehow, and they'll see how their different upbringings have raised them, and yet sometimes they'll have similarities. And the idea behind the show is fascinating because, for instance, one of the characters is this suburban house mom. She's actually my favorite character, and like she's very like very like pissy uptight, whatever. And like she has a crafting room, and like she's just a hilarious character. I feel like she's one of the ones that goes through the most growth.
Oh yeah.
There's also
going back to being so like blown away that it's a different person. There's or it's the same person. There's an episode in season 1 where they're like, oh, Allison and Donnie are working on their relationship and they won't be in this episode. And normally I'd be like, oh, they couldn't get the actress that episode. Oh wait, it's the same one.
And then in the comic they talk about what they did when they were off, so I thought it was nice, good to see what happened on behind the scenes. Yeah, and for instance, another character, she's this science geek and she has dreads and she's a lesbian.
And she's my favorite character.
Yeah, I mean I like all of them, that's the thing. It's
yeah.
just, I don't know, the suburban mom cracks me up the most. The main character is Sarah, and she's sort of like, she was this orphan who, well, they're all sort of orphans, but she was this orphan who was raised off the grid, and so she has this very like urban, rough approach to everything, and so it's just hilarious watching her character and like this prissy house mom, or there's another one that's a very stiff corporate type, and just very, very different characters that even without the visual cues, even without the different makeup and everything, you could still tell them apart. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure. And it was fascinating watching the making of stuff with Tatiana, and she was saying like she has like a different song in her head for each character, and that helps her identify with these characters, and I just really fascinating stuff. So what I'm like, Link, please, just one video. It's a little bit hard to talk about the show without being all spoilerific. So I guess I would say like your initial thoughts, and then like break if you haven't seen it, and then we can talk and be like, spoilers ahead. So you watched it, and then you went to Comic-Con and you bought the DVDs, and have you lent the DVDs to other people and gotten their reactions?
I've had people come over and watch them with me. I've loaned them to other people. I have one friend who I was like, okay, here's the first season. When you finish it, bring it back, you get the second season.
Yeah, you trusted me a lot.
Yeah,
Give
me my whole set.
Well, it's funny because I watched like the first 2 episodes, and then I like got distracted because we're trying to move and everything, and I didn't watch it for like a long time. And then I went to the next one, and I was like, why did I stop? And I like sat there and like binge watched the whole thing.
I remember when I watched the first season the first time. I think it was episode 5 or 6. It's
I'm filming a video. What's up?
Spoiler, the one where Kira gets hit by a car at the end of the episode.
That
was the point where I just couldn't stop. Like, I watched a couple episodes from here and there, and then I got to that episode and watched the entire episode.
Well, that's what I keep saying, that it's got such a good script, but what's fascinating about this show is it is ever changing. The plot lines, the arcs, the story arcs, everything, they're always changing. A lot of shows, I'm going to throw out a really popular one that I'm probably going to get lots of hate for saying that I don't like it, Walking Dead. I struggled to get to season 3. I was like, oh my god, these people are so whiny, they keep doing stupid things, they should all be dead. And it's just like, and they'll take like a plot line and they'll just grind it into the ground. Whereas, almost each season, almost every episode has its own focus. And like there's side plots and everything, but the side plots aren't just like shoved in. They all kind of interplay. Like for instance, going back to my favorite character, Allison, the suburban mom, she's sort of like the comedy. Although what she goes through isn't necessarily comedic, but just the way she handles it is kind of comedic. And we'll get into the spoiler stuff later. But just there's very different tones. Or for instance, Helena, she starts off as a bad guy, and then you kind of find out more about her history and why she is murdering the other clones. Don't worry, you find that out in the first 2 episodes. And she's a fascinating character too, and it's great watching her, very slowly learn to trust people because she's had this horrible background. And that's a big thing too, is that all of the characters pretty much evolve. Sarah's actually like the least evolved, I would say.
And I think Sarah stays pretty grounded because she's the kind of the viewpoint character. So
she's sort of the everyman, but everyone else goes through these arcs. Do you have anything else you want to say before we break into the spoilers?
My absolute favorite theme about the whole series is the relationship between mothers and daughters.
Yeah.
And
that's really...
Siobhan,
the characters in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Siobhan, Sarah's foster mother, is phenomenal.
Yeah, she's a very complicated character. And we'll get into that as soon as we go to spoilers. Boom. Okay, spoiler. What was the biggest twist off the top of your head that really threw you off? Or that you really were fascinated by?
First twist was Helena's first reveal.
Yeah, the way they kept saying like, it's a man, it's a man, it's a man. I'm like, okay.
No. The big one. Okay, so season 2, we're watching season 2 concurrently with Game of Thrones because they're coming out at the same time. You watch Game of Thrones?
I'm 1 season behind.
Okay, so you've seen.
But it's okay.
You've seen The Mountain and the Viper.
That was what happened in that one.
The Mountain versus the Viper.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that episode aired.
Oh, that was a traumatizing episode.
That was a traumatizing episode. So that was the same weekend as. Okay, so we had this conversation with our friend who was over to watch Game of Thrones. So we finished that episode and we're like, oh, that was depressing. Let's watch Orphan Black. There's much less heads exploding.
Yeah.
And then Donnie shot Leaky in the head that night.
Yeah, that was that was a pretty, man. See, I'm like thinking, that was there, and there was that one, and that one. Yeah, I would say for me, I'm still like, my head is kind of in season 3, because that's the one I saw the most recently. The 2 that I keep going back to, one is finding out that the reason the guys were sleeping with the women was to infect them.
Yeah.
That was kind of a weird plot.
Yeah.
And then I'm still trying to be okay with the twist that Siobhan's mother is the original DNA.
Yeah.
That felt like, where did that come from?
That felt really weird.
And
Definitely.
like they try to kind of weave it back and like, oh well, she steers Siobhan towards the orphan, but I'm just like, eh. But surprising reveal, yeah, I think Helena is definitely one of the big ones, and also just finding out that Mark, the religious thing was this whole actual the casters or whatever. I want to know more about the religious family. I hope that comes back. Because they kind of just sort of disappeared after Helena set the barn on fire. They like scattered into the winds. And that was interesting to me. Like, I want to know what exactly the religious leader, what his goal was. Because he was taking the clones or whatever and he was putting his DNA into them. And it was like, what is his ultimate goal? Is he trying to make like an army? Or is he just trying to make, multiply his own
That was the impression I got, was he was kind of trying to build God's army or something.
Have a little bit of his DNA in all his children.
Like, I'm a very holy man and I'm going to spawn as much as possible because God said be fruitful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy religious people. Yeah, I mean there's so many choices. Well, so you said that Cosima's your favorite. What is it about her that makes her your favorite?
She's such a layered, dynamic character. She's so smart.
I love seeing her angry.
I know.
So seldom.
Yeah. Or sad, or like, her
she
whole
falls in love so easily.
She does, and her heart gets broken so easily.
Yeah, and it's like, you think with the life she's had, she'd be like, Sarah's very hard, it's hard to get close to her, whereas Cosima just has her heart on her sleeve, and she just loves everybody. And I'm just like, no, there's bad people in the world. Plus she's cute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she is pretty cute.
So do you like her better with, wow, I forgot the French girl's name. Delphine, yeah. I have characters named that, or prefer her with Shay, or don't think she should be with either one of them.
I think Delphine is like her big one true love.
Well, that's when she saw when she was dying.
Yeah. So. Shay, I feel like Shay is like a very healing influence for her.
Yeah.
I do
she's
like
got
her
layers,
with Shay.
obviously.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we're gonna see more from Shay in the future. Well, other than Cosima, which of the clones do you like the most?
Well, you haven't seen season 4 yet.
Sorry. I want to.
I like Tony a lot.
Tony's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, the trans version that comes in.
Like
I never finished that point. What I was saying is that all these different clones, for instance, Cosima, she's a lesbian and she's very, very, very smart. And it's like, well, very, very smart obviously is going to be more nature than nurture. Or the suburban mom who's very prissy or whatever. And then one of the other faces is Tony, is the trans version that shows up for an episode or two. And it's just like, is it just the tiniest tweaks in DNA, or is it nurture? And I mean, especially with lesbian and trans, because what we've been saying in science for the last however many decades is that it's in your DNA. And so I don't know if the show's going to get more into that, but are they saying that they have identical DNA, or are they saying that there's like tiny, tiny differences?
I think they've established they have identical DNA. They do have the barcodes that differentiate them.
Barcodes in your DNA.
Right? This is proprietary design something, the big twist at the end of season 1.
Yeah.
We're like, no, don't sign the contract. They own us.
Yeah. Because it's funny because my mom and I got in a big, not argument, but we were like talking about it, and we're like, that's stupid. The government would not sanction that. But then again, you never know what the government's going to sanction. The next 4 years are going to be really interesting. The DNA thing too, because there's the whole subplot of the girls are starting to die because they have the uterus complex or whatever, and Cosima, like, she's getting stem cell from Sarah's daughter Kira, and it's like they that scene where they get the bone marrow, and then isn't it Rachel that like throws it on the ground?
throws it
on the ground. Oh my god.
Stomps on it.
It's like I feel bad for Rachel, but at the same time I hate her.
I know. Yeah, like, oh, Rachel, she is fucked up in all kinds. Can I say fucked up on your channel?
Yeah, whatever.
she's fucked up in all kinds of ways.
Yeah. Well, that was
even
one of the
Helena's
things.
not fucked up in.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that was fascinating about the comic is that, you know, it shows Rachel as a kid a little bit, and it shows she has a violent streak.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, again, going back to the nurture versus nature, like, you don't really see the same quick to anger violent streak in any of the other clones, I feel like. Like the whole plot with her dad, and just, there's a lot of emotional ringers in the show for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so which clone do you like after Cosima?
I like Sarah for her ingenuity. Like, she always
Survivor.
has a resource. Like, oh, this is going wrong, well, I have this.
Yeah. Who's your favorite non-clone?
Felix or Siobhan.
Yeah. I really like Felix.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I don't know. He's a great character because he's helpful to Sarah, you know, his foster sister. But he has other plots on his own. Like, he becomes friends with Allison and like becomes her like campaign manager when she runs for, what is it, school treasury board or something. Trustee, something like that. And like, there's a couple times in the series where he's just like, no, your shit's too deep, I'm out.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, he actually stands up for himself sometimes. He doesn't just like, oh, you're my foster sister, I'll do anything for you.
No, I have my own life, I have my own shit I have to do.
Yeah. And that, again, is a great thing in writing, because too many times in shows, like, usually it's a female following a guy around, but there's just these dynamics that you see in other shows where one will just do anything for the other one, and you're just like, okay, come on, Gross, fine. They're putting you through way too much shit. So, I mean, it's a little complicated because you saw 4 and I haven't seen it yet, but, well, it's fine if it's a spoiler for me. I don't really care if it's a spoiler for me. What are you looking forward to finding out more about, or hoping that the series is going to go towards?
Trying to remember what happened. A lot of shit happened in season 4. The biggest thing is, how are they going to wrap all of this up in the next season? Like, it's...
is the next season going to be the last one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I had originally heard they were planning for 6 seasons in a movie, but now it looks like just 5 seasons.
Do you know why?
No.
That
information may be out there somewhere. I don't know.
think it's lack of interest.
I don't think so.
I think there's a lot of people that like this show. Well, I mean, is there a character that you want to see more? More history of, or more future for?
Who's still alive?
Got a Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I know it's funny because I watched the first season, and then like Cosima got sick, and I was like, hold on, is she on the box art? She is. She's still on there.
I'd like to see more of Cal.
Yeah, his whole thing.
Michael
like,
Huisman got the contract with Game of Thrones, so his filming schedule with Orphan Black was severely impacted because of that. Dario Harris.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
yeah,
it's like, Dario Cal.
They'll make it happen.
Yeah.
They always do. Yeah, I know, like, the amount of filming it must take, because they have to do, well, with the clones, we have to do all these different scenes with the same person. That's crazy. At least she doesn't have to wear, like, really fancy, like, makeup that takes, like, 6 hours to apply.
Yeah.
I used to be a big fan of Farscape. And,
oh, I loved Farscape.
Yeah. And they always talk about, like, how it's, like, 6 hours every day. Yeah. Yeah, we were watching Farscape again on Netflix, and we were, like, almost done with season 1, and then they took it off.
Yeah, I was planning to do a rewatch, and they announced they were going to take it off, and I was like, well, I do not have time to do that.
It's definitely one of the shows I would probably buy a box set of, because I love that show. Well, I guess that's pretty much what we can talk about. I mean, there's a little disparity. I'm going to try to find season 4 around somewhere so I can get on the same page. Are there any similar shows that you would recommend or that you really like?
I don't know about similar.
Like sci-fi.
Yeah. I've been really into Leverage.
Okay. What's that one about?
It's what channel was it on? It ran 5 seasons, and it's about a group of thieves with different specialties who band together to fight bad guys.
Modern times?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's let's see, I think it was like 2005 to 2010, so it's...
it feels familiar, so maybe it's on Netflix or something.
Yeah, it is on Netflix. Okay. I just started my 3rd rewatch in 2.5 years. It's very, very, very easy to binge. Like, there are some shows that are really dense and you can't binge them. Leverage is really easy to binge. And
I
it's,
forced myself to slow down a little bit with Orphan because
Yeah.
I was watching like 3 episodes a day and I was like, I'm gonna run out really fast.
so it's a group of thieves who are trying to make the world right in their own thievish ways.
Robin Hood. Kind of thing.
Robin Hood kind of thing.
That's
and
cool.
It has very interesting, diverse cast.
That's
The
good.
female characters are not one note, which is great.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but everyone has been talking about Westworld. And
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
I guess I'm gonna have to go watch it because my other channel is the Free Mental Activism or whatever one, and one of the guys who became a Facebook friend through that. I don't do that often, so calm down. He was telling me just today that Westworld apparently is very advanced for how they treat nudity in it, and apparently this one character, like, she's naked in like half the series, but she still kicks ass. And I was like, oh, I gotta see that, because all too often, as soon as a girl is scantily clad, she's someone's paramour or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't do anything. I mean, obviously, I feel like everyone at this point either knows about Jessica Jones and has seen it, or is gonna hate that kind of thing and hasn't seen it. Luke Cage is next on the radar.
Yeah, we
But-
just finished it. It was pretty good.
I haven't watched Luke Cage yet, but I did watch Jessica Jones in like one sitting. The hard thing is that I keep trying to get my husband to watch a show with me, but he's very picky about when he wants to watch a show.
My boyfriend's like that too.
Yeah, so it's really hard to get him to sit and watch, and he does
Yeah.
not binge at all. He'll like watch one episode and then I can't get him to watch another one for a week.
Yeah, like
So-
Game of Thrones is my boyfriend's big thing that he'll just watch over and over and over again. And other than that,
He
it's The
refuses
Simpsons.
to watch Game of Thrones until they finish with the whole series because he's read the books and he's like, I don't know.
I can kind of understand that.
Why do you refuse to watch Game of Thrones again?
Exactly what you said.
You just won't until they finish making the life.
He's
Alright.
on cry mode.
I can tell. Okay, so apparently Link is on cry mode, so I should probably go feed him or something. And thank you, Darcy, for being on my video.
Yeah.
And and thank you for watching. And if you have any questions or opinions about Orphan Black, you should leave it in the comments. I don't know if you can hear me over Link right now. And if you also have a show that you really like and want to recommend, I would go ahead and leave a comment about it. Say a little bit about the show, don't just say the name. You just don't want me to finish this video, do you? Alright. I'm gonna hit stop now. Bye.